Hi guys, so welcome to another review video, and today shall be having a look at the Sony S500RF HT-S500RF versus, that is 1000 watts, versus this Sony HT-S400 330 watts. So let's have a look and compare these two. We see well there's a big difference, and remember there's a very big price difference here, because this Sony S400 goes for around 28 to 33,000 Kenyan shillings, while the Sony S500RF goes for around 48,000 Kenyan shillings. So that's around 20,000 Kenyan shillings between 330 watts to 500 to 1,000 watts. That is, let's have a look at the difference. Then it's clear from these the S500 watts, you can see it's a 5.1 channel. This is 1,000 watts. The S500, we have 3 rear speakers on the bar. Right here we have 3 speakers. I don't know if it can be visible from there, but you can see there's one speaker right here, then there's another one here at the center, then we have another one on the left. Maybe it might not be visible, but you can see there's a speaker here. Then we have tweeters speaker at the far end. There's one here, there's a tweeter speaker right here, then there's another one on this other side. This is the tweeter speaker. So we have 2 tweeter speakers, and then we have these 2 surround speakers just to improve on the surround. So we have 5 speakers for mid-range, and then we have the subwoofer. While on the Sony S400 you only have the bar right there and the subwoofer. Then on the bar we have only 2 speakers, so it's a 2.1 channel. As you can see here, we only have 2 speakers, one here, then another one here. But the speakers are improvised in a manner that they can act both as surround speakers and rear speakers, depending on the setting you put on the remote for the surround mode. Then this is how the remotes look like. For the Sony S400, this is how the remote is. You can see it's very, very simple. And for the remote, you can only adjust the bass, the volume. Then the sound mode, you have the field mode, you can see. Then you have the input mode, the remote, very simple. While on the Sony S500RF, this is how the remote is. The remote is a bit advanced. There are added configurations on the remote. You can see there's a subwoofer, then you can mute, dim, menu. There's so many settings: forward, pause, cinema mode, voice mode. So you have a lot of surround modes on these 5.1 channel. Now, some other features you can see on the Sony 1000 watts model, that is the S500RF. We have the controls right on the subwoofer here. So this is where we have the controls for power input. There's a touch panel. So this is the input, then Bluetooth icon, volume minus, volume plus icon. Then we have the LED somewhere here. Let me just put it on power. Yeah, you can see we have the LED there. This is how the subwoofer looks like. We have 18 centimeters subwoofer right over there, a very big one compared to the subwoofer we have on the Sony S400. This is a 16-inch subwoofer, so it's definitely a smaller one. You can see the indicator to indicate that the subwoofer is on. This is the indicator. Then this is where we have the LED and the controls. So we have the controls on the bar as opposed to on these 1000 watts model where we have the controls on the subwoofer. Between these two, which one will you prefer in terms of where the control has been placed? Because for the 1000 watts we have the control right on the subwoofer, and then for the 300 watts we have the control placed on the bar. So let me know which one between the two will you prefer the control location, because personally I prefer having the control location right on the bar as opposed to having it on the subwoofer as to I have it here. Then another interesting factor, let's have a look at the back of these 2 subwoofers. As you can see, for the Sony S400 models, there is almost nothing at the back, minimal connection. There's just this cable for power, just to power the subwoofer. Then we have another power cable here to power the bar. So you only have 2 cables from the soundbar. It's completely wireless. So those cables are just for power, nothing much, no more cables. Then here we have the input. We have USB input. It's unfortunate this input does not support audio input or audio play from this port. It's only for updating the drivers on this particular bar. Then this is just IR repeater. Then here we have HDMI input and optical input right here. Sound. So we only have two forms of input. Sound input to this, the HDMI and the optical port. You can also use the Bluetooth. Then at the bottom cover is nothing much at the bottom. You just have those rubbers for proper grip on the table when you place it on maybe on a TV stand somewhere. Then you have these mounting holes or ports just to mount it in the wall somewhere if you want to mount the bar. While on the Sony HT-S500RF, this is how the back is. Now the back is a bit messed up because there are so many wires emanating from the back. We have lots of wires. There's these three cables, the first three cables servicing the bar, the three speakers of the bar, see? Then we have these ones, the gray and the blue one, to service the surround speakers. So there's a lot of wiring, but on the surround speakers the wires are a bit long, 10 meters, just to ensure that you place these surround speakers far apart or in a big room at different places, so as to improve on that surround effects when you're listening to music or you're watching your best movies, 3D movies, just for the to improve on the cinematic effects, that is. Then we have the inputs right underneath here. So this is where we have, you can see down here, I don't know if it's clear, but we have HDMI port right somewhere there. You can see this is the HDMI. Then there's analog in for audio jack. Then somewhere there we have the optical. You can see the optical input right on top there. Then this is the IR repeater, the yellow pin, just to bring IR to the bar so that you can sense your remote the bar for easy configuration. And that's how it looks like. Now in terms of power, for the Sony 1000 watts, we have these two, the rear speakers on the bar. They all have an input, or they draw power of about 152 watts for the 5-channel speakers, and then the subwoofer draws up to 240 watts. Then for the Sony S400, the bar draws only, it's indicated somewhere here, it draws only 35 watts, you can see on the bar for the two speakers on the bar. And then the subwoofer draws 20 watts, also indicated somewhere there. Then it's visible from there, but you can see there's 20 watts here. So it means definitely the Sony S400 draws less power compared to the amount of power being drawn by the Sony S500RF, because this is definitely 1000 watts, bigger drivers, everything is just advanced compared to what you have there. But does it mean that the sound quality from the Sony S400 is weaker compared to what we have over here? Let's put them to test. We see how they sound individually. Then concerning the volume of these two particular soundbars, remember the volume maximum on this Sony soundbar S500RF is 50. See, the maximum volume is 50. So let me just tap it to 50, yeah, see, maximum volume there is 50, and then the maximum volume of S400 is, let me see, I think we are now, that is 67, 70, 80, damn, yeah, so the maximum volume here is 100, well there is 50, but that does not mean that the S400 is louder than the S500. There's a very big difference. That is just the amount of calibration, the volume range. Yeah. So you see on the S500 we have a small range, so it means adjusting the volume it's easier, though it might not be accurate levels of volume because we have a very small range to deal with between 0 to 50. Well, there we have 0 to 500, so adjusting volume can be accurate, but it's difficult and hectic because coming all the way from 1 to 100 will take you a lot of time to adjust or tap on the volume knob to reach that volume, while here it's much easier. So personally I prefer the 550 maximum volume compared to 100. In fact, they will have even made it instead of 50 to even 30, so as to make adjusting volume easier. Okay, so guys, we've come to the end of this review between these two particular soundbars. Let me know what you think about these soundbars in the comment section. What do you think about the sound quality? What do you think about the differences? Because that being wireless and low power, 330 watts, this being wired, 1000 watts, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer it being low wattage and wireless, or high wattage, high power and wired? Because we have 1000 watts here, 330 watts there. Then another thing that I really loved about this 1000 watts model is that we have 5.1 channel, we have 5 speakers, 3 for rear and 2 for surround. Then you have 2 additional tweeters at the sides for improved sound experience, that Dolby Atmos, movie experience, a music experience, just top notch from this one. Well, there we only have 2 speakers that does all the job, surround, tweeter, the rest. So I think here it's very much advanced. Don't forget that big price difference, so you know where to put your money. If you're on a low budget, definitely just go for the 330 because it's equally sounding good. It has Dolby Atmos 2, HDMI input, all the inputs that you love for a soundbar. Only that the USB port right over there, you cannot use USB port to play music. As opposed to this 1000 watts model, you can use the USB port for music and updating the software. So we've come to the end of this review, and let me know what you think about these particular soundbars. And as usual, if you love the content from this channel, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a like to this video.